Hello, procrastinators, and welcome, unbelievably, to the 16th annual Nerd³ Awards. That's right, the very first video on this channel was Nerd³ accepting his 2010 award, our first series of awards, and 16 years. It's a long time, but I suppose as long as there's me and video games, these will continue. But this year, things are going to be a little bit different. Not over on Ash's channel, where we're doing our usual Advent gubbins that looks a bit like this. Yes. That can't be right. Yep, that's Advent, alright. But this year we're also doing one over on the Patreon, a Patreon exclusive Advent as a thank you to the people who have supported me through, I'll be honest, a shit year. If you're on any of the tiers from the £1 tier up, then you will be able to watch me and my lovely, brilliant, fantastic wife Rebecca open a calendar that I've always wanted to open and a calendar I've absolutely never wanted to open, and that looks a bit like this. Eat that piss! And the changes don't stop there, because this year I'm not giving out my usual individual awards. No, I'm not just listing my top 25 games. No. This year, there's going to be a fight. Behold, the Nerd³ Awards 2025 tournament bracket every day in December. And this isn't just lasting Advent. This is from the 1st to the 31st, because it's a lot easier to make a bracket with 32 people. Every single day in December, 2 games enter, 1 game leaves victorious. By the end of this, we will know what the best game of the year is by process of direct elimination. So, the first game brave enough to enter this tournament of champions is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, and that will be up against The Sims Legacy Edition. Qualifying round 1 is which is the best way of re-releasing an older game? Because these are the two extremes. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 took the bones of the game, the foundations of the game, and just shook everything else off. Just went, no, we don't need any of that. It took the controls, the physics, the level design, and everything else. It basically went, well, we'll just remake all that bit. We'll tweak all these things. We'll add new songs. We'll add new music. We'll change. We'll tweak. We'll modify. The campaign of 4. Well, we'll get rid of that and swap it for a session mode. It made changes, which is quite scary and brave in a way, but also could be considered sacrilegious to games that are considered classics. And then The Sims is the absolute opposite end, where it just went, right, let's just make it work on modern hardware. Which is lovely, because The Sims 1 is an absolute bastard to make work on modern hardware, in that it just basically doesn't. And as a reminder, this is EA we're talking about, right? EA released a game for a budget price with all the DLC, no nickel and diming, and then kept patching it until it worked for everybody. That's really impressive, right? Well done, EA, for doing the bare minimum. So that's the other side. Yeah, you've got just the... Because I think The Sims going through that Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 thing wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. I think a modern graphic Sims 1, like a hyper-realistic Sims 1, that had all these ambient sound effects and things, and it wouldn't have that weird kind of Truman Show-esque loneliness that I think The Sims 1 has. I think a lot would go if it went that approach. Whereas Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, if you just re-release the old ones with a HD thing, I think would be fantastic still. So I think that is the better approach, is just taking the old games and making them work on modern systems. So does that mean that The Sims is going to win this one? No. I know, right? I know. I genuinely think that's the better approach, because the other one is taking risks, and you can change things, and if you change things, you can break things. But with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, they didn't break things, they made things better. Once you beat the campaign in that game, they go, okay, do it again, but everything's a lot harder, you absolute nerd. And I am that absolute nerd. I'm really bloody good at those games. I play a lot of the Tony Hawk's games, and I just... It was for me. They changed it for me. So for that reason, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 is going through to round 1. I loved it. I loved it. They took risks, and those risks paid off. Plus, like the original time I played Tony Hawk's, I have new music that I listen to because of these games. It affected me in the same way it did back in the day, whereas if you just took the game and released it with the same soundtracks, or the ones that you could afford to fucking get hold of, it wouldn't have changed my musical. It's affected me outside of the game, which is like the original ones did. So that energy has come through. I think it's the riskier way of doing things, and I think it can absolutely fail, but when it pays off, it pays off. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, the first game out of the qualifiers and into round 1. I'll see you tomorrow.